Just wanted to show you something that I made this week. I was trying to figure out how to best polish these sections for the simulator. So I came up with this. It's not perfect, but it's a beginning. So basically, like for sight translations, we're going to do 6 passes to be able to polish it well. The first pass, well, not we're going to do. This is this is what I'm going to do, but if you want to do it too, that's great. So the first step, we're going to do a vocabulary pass. We do the whole mock exam and we get a pretty good idea of where we would have been on the test. So for me, it's very important to let these mock exams surprise you. Try to save some of them to be able to grade yourself and see where you need to tweak your skills. Let's say we're going to work on the sight. And right now we've been working on Lima. So we do a vocabulary pass. So we're going to do a sight and we're only going to try to focus on getting our vocabulary right. We're not going to worry about flow. We're not going to worry about structure, sentence structure, or any of that. We're going to worry just about vocabulary. Okay? Once we've got the vocabulary down, we may need to do a couple of these. Then we're going to do a chunking pass. We can mark it on our page to make, it says mark the chunks aggressively. We can make them into full sentences just to make sure that we're chunking full ideas. This is not how we're going to interpret. This is just as warm-up. And we're going to be simplifying complex Spanish structures into easier English. And then we're going to do an enunciation pass. And I know some of you have been recommending this. You put your pen in your mouth and you try to enunciate. So you do an enunciation pass. If you're really struggling, do it with a pen. Do it with a pen in your mouth. If you're not struggling that much, then just make sure that you say all your vowels correctly, that you finish your words off. And just focus on that. Don't worry about vocab. Don't worry about flow. Don't worry about anything else. Just enunciation. One of the tips is just to slow our articulation so that it comes out right. Open our vowels fully and finish our words cleanly. Okay, so now we're going to do the flow pass. Just making sure that you flow, that you sound confident, that you have a good rhythm. The last pass that we're going to do is our final polished run. I want you to record this so we can brag about this one, okay? The final polish run should feel very confident and very clear and very smooth. But it's most important with this one not to correct yourself. This is like test day. If you have a good enough word, and even if you think of something better that just jumps into your head, just ignore it and try to sound smooth. Just deliver it. So now we're going to move on to the simultaneous. So with simultaneous, I actually had ChatGPT help me work on these. We need some kind of a warm-up first. And it doesn't have to take that long. We can do any of these exercises. Most of you have the acebo materials. There's some, actually on the consecutive section of the acebo materials, you can find some memory exercises where it kind of helps you do the comprehension and summarizing one. So you can do this warm-up, or you can do shadowing into English, shadowing into Spanish, working names and numbers. Holly Mickelson also has this in the acebo, and expanded sequences. If you don't have any of this, I can share my Google Doc. I have a bunch of expanded sequences that I've recorded. Basically what those are, they're just lists of different things that helps you retain something in your memory while you're doing simultaneous. For example, you have book, and then you have pencil. You have picture. So when you hear the word book, you pause. When you hear the word pencil, you say book. When you hear the word picture, you say pencil. You get the idea. Okay, now this is for your simultaneous. The second portion after you do your warm-up is a vocabulary pass, just like we were talking, then the enunciation, and then the syntax pass. Okay, make sure that we're structuring right. And then we have the flow pass, and here's where we're supposed to finish the sentences. It's important that the person that's listening to you doesn't feel like you're all discombobulated. You finish your sentence. Even if you miss something in the middle, finish your sentence. Just make sure that whatever you're saying makes sense because you finished each sentence. And then with a polish run, don't stop, and deliver confidently. And then we're going to go to our consec. Okay, and so now for the consecutive, we're going to do a blind run, which is the mock exam. And I think the best way to do a consecutive with a simulator is actually to do it on the simulator, because each recording is individualized. So you can actually go and number all your utterances on your piece of paper where you're checking, and then you can just play the ones that you need to review over and over. So we're going to be detectives right here. You're going to trying to figure out if you're hesitating before starting, if you're losing that last idea, are you taking too many notes? The goal here is to start immediately when we interpret the consecutive, or as fast as we can. One of the problems that I'm having is that I'm not starting right away because I get stuck on taking more notes until the very end. I'm afraid to lose that last one. So one of my strategies is going to be to start interpreting immediately, even if my notes are not complete. I can write that last idea while I'm still speaking because, we're interpreters. We can do this. I can try it like this. And what's nice about this consec is that we can practice just those small sections, and we can write the notes and we can repeat. We don't have to do the whole lesson. We can just do those sections. Okay. One of the ways, and I've actually been practicing this, I give the last idea first so that I don't have to take it down. Once I know that they've finished, I just interpret that last part. And it doesn't always work, but when it does, it's a good idea to start with the last idea first. And that way I don't take as many notes. Then we have a pass where we're investigating our notes. We investigate if we're taking too many notes. Sometimes when I take too many notes, those notes throw me off because it's just extra and I don't even understand why I wrote it in there. But let's just review, even if it's just one segment. Did I write full words? It's better for us to skip the vowels. Did I record the information I actually didn't need, or could I reduce this to symbols? Sometimes symbols, sometimes we don't even need them. We're going to do this the fifth pass that we're going to do with a consecutive is trying to investigate to see if we need time to organize our ideas. Try to just capture the who, the what, and to whom, or to what, right? So it's just like noun, verb, and direct object. Let's see how we can do with these three anchors, and it just kind of gives us a little bit more of a better idea of whether our issues are organizing our notes or if it's a memory problem, so that we can know what to work on. And then we do the polished run, and that is the completeness. Make sure that we get all the modifiers and the clarity. Make sure you're announcing right and trusting yourself. I hope this helps you. This is what I'm trying to do. And it's just because I need some structure to how am I going to be practicing this. These things that I'm sharing are specifically for my weaknesses. So if you have other weaknesses, go ahead, stick them in ChatGPT and say, hey, look, I'm going to copy paste what Yadira's weaknesses are, but I really don't have these weaknesses. These are my weaknesses. And then come up with some kind of a 6 pass or 10 pass for each section, whatever you want to do. So have a good one. See ya. Bye.